Hello, YouTube. So, in my previous video, y'all caught a glimpse of my dog. So, I figured I would share my dog cam from my Twitch streaming. I normally have a camera over there just for if he pops in. Um, his name is Bandit, and he is a good boy with a tragic backstory. Um, a coworker of mine was passing away from cancer, and so he gave this dog to me, and I have cherished this dog ever since. So he is a good dog, and he is part border collie, part Pomeranian, and that means he has the intelligence of a border collie and the attention span of a Pomeranian, which is an amazing mix. Um, but yeah, he is good. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the doggo camera off now, so we can dive in onto our actual tutorial. So we were working on the snake game. We have done quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the terminal here that we already had, so I have a little more screen real estate. Now, where we left off, we had. I suppose I shouldn't have killed the terminal. Let's bring the terminal back up. We had gotten to the point where we have food on the screen that we could collide with and generate a new piece of food. Now, this was an important part to get through because we need this in order to start building the tail. If you can't eat the food, you can't make the tail. So let's dive right in and get started on making the tail. And we'll get some collision going for the tail. And we're also going to add a little bit of movement protection because once you have a tail, you don't want to double back into the tail by just pressing the opposite direction of the direction you're headed in. So to start with, we need the snake length value, and it's going to start off as a 0. And then for the tail, we're going to just do tail. And this one's going to be tricky because we're putting a list inside of a dictionary. So this is actually going to be a list that is going to contain inside of it a list of XYs. So every time we eat food, we're going to append an XY value to the tail, and we're going to increment the length of the tail. To get to it, come down here, and instead of you eat a delicious apple, we're going to do a snake length dot, or no, it's plus equals 1. Then snake tail, this because it's a list, needs to be appended to. And then in order to pass it the values we want, we need to make a list object inside of the uh, function call, or a method call in this case. So what we're doing is taking the x and the y coordinates and we're putting them together in a list and passing that list as a single instance into the append. If we try to pass it x and y separately, it'll be like, hey, append only takes one parameter. So we want it to be one parameter by being a list of two locations. So easy button, we take the food, X position, and then with a comma, and then food, Y position. And that will pass that through to the tail. Okay, cool. Now we're appending to the tail. We still have to draw out the tail. How do we do that? Well, let's come up to our draw game. We'll take the draw for the snake, which is this part right here. And then for tail in snake tail, what this is going to do is it's going to take each little list from tail, and it's going to take that tail XY object and call it tail inside of this for loop. And we're going to create the snake tail. Instead of using X and Y, what we do is 0 for X and 1 for Y, because 0 is our X value and 1 in the indexing of the list is going to be 0, 1. There's going to be a list of these. So we want to go over each one of the list. And each Each one of the listed items for XY is going to come out as a list called tail, and then tail is going to have its own index of 0 and 1 because it's a list itself. And so that will print out our list. So we come back down here, and we're going to need to do an evaluation to see if we run into the tail. So if snake, and this is the fun part, we're going to do, you see how we do down here with this, where it's all one big list item. You saw how we did that up there. Well, now it's going to be if snake X, comma, snake Y, in, because this is how we did in the random number game, we did a in check to basically check to see if these values exist inside this list. So if they exist inside of snake tail, and this format is going to be the same as how snake tail is formatted, so each item is going to be XY inside of its own list. So it's going to check each and individual piece of the tail if it basically evaluates to the same as this, at which point we'll print you hit your own tail, and then we'll break. Now you can probably see what's going to happen here because this print you hit a wall happens outside of the for loop or the main loop. So we're going to come up here and we're going to add, we're taking it and we're putting it in here so it prints it before we break out. So that should give us collision. Now we need to protect ourselves from running into ourselves by just flipping around and immediately going the opposite direction. So if we're going left and we can't immediately turn to go right, up, we can't immediately go down. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an if statement inside of this check to see snake direction equal or does not equal. And I'm going to do double quotes for now and just set that up so I can copy it. And then what we're going to put in here is right, because if it's right, we cannot go left. If it is left, we cannot go right. So as long as it's not left, we can go right. As long as it's not right, we can go left. As long as it's not down, we can go up. And as long as it's not up, we can go down. And make sure that we correct our indentation so that it comes under each of these if statements. This just kind of layers it in a little bit. But this should give us that protection, that little bit of sanitization to keep us from running into ourselves. So now that we have that done, what we need to do next, because we have it drawing out here, but all we're doing is appending down here our food location. So after we've done all this, but before we come back through and evaluate for the next draw, so we have to do this after we've detected collision. We're going to draw, we're going to do snake tail append, lowercase. What we do here is the same deal, snake X, comma, snake Y. And then if snake, that's actually if length of snake tail is greater than snake length. And this is where that length value comes in. When we delete the very first item in snake tail, like that. So we're deleting index 0, which is the first list object in the snake tail list of lists. When we call this, we will grow a tail. So it appends the tail, it appends to the tail the food location. And then the snake will continue to grow out from that location until the growth is done, and then it goes to the next one, and so on and so forth. And then what we need to do is grow our tail out a little bit so that I can double back on myself. Now, as you can see, I can't go back when I'm going up. I can't go down when I'm going up. I can't go right when I'm going left. So you have to actually move it around. and I managed to run into my own tail by looping back. And that is the basics of a snake game. There is still more optimization to do and some more coding to do. This is not the end of the tutorial, but this has us all the way up to a basic playable snake game. Thank you all for watching, and you guys have a great day.